When we keep eating and drinking things with a lot of different flavors and smoking and smelling all the different things we have scented around us, we've lost the ability to do what we used to do. And we could smell the ground that food was laying on and see if the food was contaminated by what the ground smelled like. We used to be able to do that until we had so many different foods with different aromas and different spices and different, what are they called? Potpourri in the house and different Glade plugins and colognes covering things. We used to be able to smell when things were actually wholesome and good and not just cover it or spice it up and make it smell good. Like having rotting meat in a pan isn't good. You put some spices on it and eat it, dip it in some sauce or marinate it in something, or you peel the skin off it so that you can get the skin when it's fresh. You don't eat things the way they are and realize that it's spoiling and dead. If you have a fresh fruit, a fresh vegetable, you can tell when it's fresh and when it's got juice and when it's still living and thriving and it has something to offer you. You don't eat it when it's old and moldy. I mean, you can if it's old. It's not like it's really going to hurt you because fermentation is just another level of it. But your mind sees it a certain way and thinks that it's breaking down. And sometimes the healthiest thing of anything is the broken down fermented version. But that's of a living thing like a fruit that wasn't scared or raised, manipulated. There's many levels to go through when I talk about how the fear of a living, moving thing is much different than the thing that stays still its whole life. Anything that lives and moves experiences so much more than something that stays still. But they experience so much more in the way of what it's like to stay still. And they hold on to so much more memory of what comes their way. Because all they do is stay still after that. So the memory that comes to them stays there. Those that actually truly understand rocks, gems, emeralds, things like that, they understand why there is power in them. And I'm not going to elaborate on it because I know certain words to program into rocks. Anything you want. But I'm not going to teach people that. Because I'm not going to do that. Not this lifetime. Not as Dan. Because that won't help anybody. That's just going to hurt me. Because people will think that I'm a black magic follower. I know it. I just won't do it. I won't even show people about it. I won't even really get into detail about it. Because I had some of my older recordings that have some really deep stuff I labeled top secret. Because as I looked through them, I'm like, wow, I can't tell people about this. They'd really try it. And if maybe they wouldn't because I see how people respond to things. But if I started saying things that seemed crazy to people, other people might actually pick it up because they're like, oh, this is more along the lines of what people like to hear. Stuff that seems crazy, even though reality is pretty crazy. It's just you're changing the storyline characters, and we have all our movies saying stuff about showing, good cops, bad cops, or they're all not bad, but even the good cop is following the bad cop. Even the lieutenant says, don't do this because the bosses say so. And a good cop goes out and breaks the rules and sometimes gets, suspended and all that kind of stuff because he goes against what they say not to do because he's trying to be a good person. Very few times does that really happen, but we see it in movies. And in real life, people are people. And they do shit because they follow rules and they follow orders. They follow what other people tell them. And that is no more of an obvious thing than you've got skin on your arm. You don't need a government, you don't need a police officer to tell you how to be. You need to learn how to just do it and be pure yourself. And if you need help, ask people like me and anyone around you that knows is a better example of what you've been doing or than what you've been doing with your life.